So the Bengal Files has arrived. Let's talk about something serious today. This is not your usual movie review, neither just a rant, but a larger part of a problematic pattern. The way cinema has always been used as a weapon in the hands of fascists. And how, even in 2025, we are watching history repeat itself right here in India. Hey guys, this is Shourav, and you're here with us on our new channel, Finally Cinema, where we talk about all things cinema. So show us your support by smashing the subscribe button. And now let's get back to the main topic. The Bengal Files, directed by Vivek Agnihotri, starring with names like Mithun Chakravarti, Anupam Kher, Saswata Chatterjee, Saurav Das. It's a movie that promised you to reveal the truth about Bengal's past and present, but what it really reveals is how propaganda works when dressed up as cinema. And listen, this isn't new. This is a playbook written almost a century ago, perfected by Goebbels under the Nazi regime, and now casually copy-pasted by people like Agnihotri. The techniques have evolved, the budgets have definitely changed, but the core intention remains the same. Fear, division, and manipulation packaged as storytelling. So, the Bengal Files, on paper, it follows two timelines. One, the great Calcutta killing of 1946, and the other, a present-day thread trying desperately to connect that moment of communal carnage to the Rohingya situation we are facing today. And here's the thing. This movie is actually more subtle than Agnihotri's earlier works like the Kashmir Files or even Sudipto Sen's The Kerala Story. It's less sledgehammer to the head and more predatory in nature. It creeps up on you, stalks you quietly, and then suddenly, bam! It goes full throttle with gore, relentless violence, and grotesque visuals. And the worst part? You are trapped. The film doesn't give you a cut, doesn't give you enough space for breathing. You are forced to sit through its exaggerated, blood-spattered history lesson until the message lands exactly where the makers want it to. But let's pause here, because if the story was really about Bengal's pain, about its a tragedy of partition, or about the violence ordinary people suffered, I'd respect that. Bengal has stories worth telling. Instead, this film bends and twists the stories and force feeds you a present-day political narrative that neatly aligns with the electoral calendar. You see, that's not history. That's campaign material. Now, about the controversies, you already know this. The Bengal Files was banned in West Bengal. Oh, why? Because it was deemed inflammatory. Now, if it is or it isn't, that's another topic. But here's the kicker. And this is really important, okay? The family of Gopal Mukherjee, better known as Gopal Patha, didn't hear from the filmmakers at all. It was the BJP party that first contacted them. Shantanu Mukherjee, Gopal Patha's own grandson, he confirmed this. You see, they never came to them for a truth, a nuance, or accuracy. Instead, a political party tried to weaponize a family's name. That tells you everything you need to know. This isn't cinema. This is electioneering on celluloid. And conveniently enough, Bengal goes to election soon. What a coincidence, right? Suddenly, we get a movie about immigration, refugees, communal tension, themes that happens to align perfectly with the current campaign rhetoric of a particular political party and dials it to 11. If you think that's just accident, I've got a bridge to sell you. And here's the funniest part. Despite government backing, and despite endless media promotion, despite being sold as the truth they don't want you to see, the Bengal Files bombed. It stalled almost immediately at the box office, and it's not alone either, okay? Look around, the propaganda films in India, they are having their little moment and failing spectacularly. Films like the Kerala Story made noise, yeah, but couldn't sustain. Randeep Huda's Swatantra Veer Savarkar tried to turn an apology merchant of the British into a martyr. Let's not forget when Savarkar was cashing a 60 rupees monthly pension from the British. Folks like Master the Surya Sen had a bounty of 10,000 on his head. Now, that's how you spot a real patriot versus a collaborator. But cinema twisted that too and tried to polish it up, but audience saw through that, obviously. So when these films flop, these are not just financial failures, it's a sign. People aren't buying whatever they're selling. No matter how much propaganda is packaged into based on true events, the truth has a way of bleeding through. But step back for a moment. Why does this feel so familiar? Because it is. Fascists have always used cinema. Hitler had Goebbels, and Goebbels, he understood something powerful. Cinema bypasses a rational debate. It's emotional, it's immersive, and it doesn't ask your permission. You just sit in the dark, the images, they wash over you, and suddenly you're feeling before you're thinking. That's why the Nazi Germany invested so much in propaganda films. They glorified the Führer, demonized the other, rewrote history in real time, and projected strength through spectacle. And to some extent it worked. Millions bought into that myth. Fast forward to today, and the same methods are in play. Vague promises of truth, carefully chosen historical wounds, simplistic villains, grand emotional climaxes, and a steady drip of nationalism along with some victimhood until you leave the theater all angry, not thoughtful. Sounds familiar? But here's the flip side. Cinema can also resist, Cinema can bite back. Enter Quentin Tarantino. In Inglourious Bastards, he gave us the ultimate revenge fantasy. A Jewish woman in a Parisian theater literally burning the entire Nazi hierarchy alive while they sat and watched a propaganda movie about themselves. The weapon Goebbels once used to spread fear became the weapon of their distraction. Celluloid itself, flammable, eating them whole. That was Tarantino's way of saying cinema doesn't belong to tyrants. It belongs to storytellers, and storytellers can turn the screen into a mirror, a sword, or even a bonfire for that matter. It's poetic really, because in India today, while Agnihotri makes films that to divide, there are still filmmakers telling stories of unity, humanity, complexity. They may not always dominate the box office, but they keep the cinema alive as a space for thought, not just for propaganda. So where does all of this lead if unchecked? If propaganda cinema keeps growing, if government keeps backing it up, and if audiences stop questioning it, then films they stop become entertainment or art. They become weapons, tools to soften the ground before policy bulldozes in, a way to normalize hate before it even hits the streets. But here's the saving grace. Propaganda cinema almost always collapses under its own weight, because when you build a story on lies and misinformation, it can only hold for so long. People eventually notice the cracks. The box office failures of these films, they already prove that, and the Bengal Files itself is a proof too. You can promote it with every news outlet in your pocket. You can weaponize family legacies, but if people see through you, the narrative dies in the theater itself. So let's put this simply. The Bengal Files isn't unique, and it's not the last. It's just the latest chapter in a very old book. A book written by fascists, perfected by propagandists, and popularized now by the opportunists. The only difference, we have seen the ending before, and spoiler alert, propaganda doesn't outlive truth. Cinema is too powerful, too wild, too beautiful to be reduced to a campaign tool. And for every Agnihotri making his next file, there will always be a Tarantino somewhere ready to strike a match. So watch carefully, think critically, it is always good to question your history books, but based it on research, not propaganda. And never forget, history repeats itself, but so does resistance. Thank you so much for watching. I was Saurav, and this is our new channel. So please show us some of your support. Like, comment, and share this with your closed ones. And of course, subscribe to Finally Cinema. Nice one.